When the autumn wind brings warmth, it is the time when the flowers are blooming and the moon is full, but the autumn wind in Northern Europe has transformed into a cold wind. Media recently reported that Finland's Ahtari Zoo will send 2 giant pandas back to China in November this year, more than 8 years ahead of schedule, due to its inability to afford the breeding costs. These 2 giant pandas were leased to the private zoo in Akhteri in January 2018 for 15 years after Chinese President Xi Jinping visited Finland in 2017 and signed an animal protection agreement. Risto Sivonen, chairman of the board of directors of the zoo, said that in order to welcome the giant pandas to move in, the zoo invested more than €8 million in upgrading its facilities and had to bear about €1.5 million in annual maintenance fees, including payments to China of panda rental fees. The giant panda is China's national treasure and is also welcomed and loved by people all over the world. His image is cute, chubby, amiable and lovable. Pandas are endangered species and protected animals currently only found in mainland China. Therefore, panda diplomacy has always become a symbol of friendly relations between China and other countries. However, with the coronavirus pandemic in 2020, various places have reopened after lockdown. However, geopolitics have continued to change in recent years and frictions between countries have emerged from time to time. The giant panda diplomacy, a symbol of friendship, has undergone many subtle changes. Crack. When the COVID-19 pandemic hits the tourism industry, it is no exaggeration to say that the whole country is suffering. Even in the post-pandemic era, most countries have found that visitors no longer come as frequently as before. As a result, many scenic spots that rely on admission tickets as their source of income have experienced a substantial loss of revenue, and zoos in European and American countries are no exception. During the epidemic, flights between countries were also interrupted, causing a blowout in freight costs, making it difficult for businesses and consumers to bear. In addition, winters in Northern Europe and North America are very long, and pandas eat a lot. Once winter enters, there will be less bamboo and bamboo leaves for pandas to eat. The increasing cost of air transportation has made raising pandas an economic burden. Looking back at the past period, there are still many giant pandas living overseas, being sent back to mainland China. In November 2022, the Calgary Zoo, the largest city in Alberta, Canada, sent 2 giant pandas back to China ahead of schedule. Last November, the National Zoo of the Smithsonian Institution in Washington sent 3 giant pandas back to China. After living in the UK for 12 years, Britain's only pair of giant pandas will also return to China in December 2023. In May of this year, the Atlanta Zoo also announced that it would send 4 giant pandas back to China by the end of this year. In September of the same year, a pair of giant pandas living in Austria were also sent back to China. Japan also just sent back 2 giant pandas to Sichuan, provincial China, Giant Panda Conservation and Research Center. Pandas living abroad are all rented from China by their host countries. According to the lease treaty, China has to pay $1 million per year to rent 1 panda, usually 2 for 10 years. In addition, huge investments must be made to build comfortable panda houses for pandas. This is not an ordinary private house, but a high-end apartment. A team of breeding personnel is also required, such as veterinarians, breeders, cleaners, imported food sources and so on. It can be seen that the resources required to raise pandas are expensive. Back to Finland, with a population of more than 5.61 million and a per capita GDP of $59,000 in 2023, it is one of the most developed countries and welfare countries in the world, and its citizens enjoy a very high standard of life. In the World Happiness Report released by the United Nations, Finland ranked the happiest country in the world for 7 consecutive years from 2018 to 2024. In the post-epidemic era, it is no longer possible to support the expensive way of raising pandas by relying on ticket revenue. It would be even more difficult if the location cannot obtain sponsorship from the government or enterprises, and a large rental fee needs to be paid every year. In a developed country like Finland, why don't governments and companies want to sponsor zoos to raise pandas? Is this the real situation of being unable to afford the cost of raising pandas? According to the response from the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as of February 2021, China and Japan, the United States, Austria, Thailand, Spain, Australia, the United Kingdom, France, Singapore, Belgium, Malaysia, South Korea, the Netherlands, Germany, Indonesia, Finland, Denmark and Russia, 22 zoos in 18 countries, have carried out cooperative research on giant panda conservation. In other words, not only developed countries lease and raise pandas from China, but also some developing countries such as Thailand, Malaysia and Indonesia also lease pandas from China for breeding. It is unconvincing that zoos in developing countries are capable of raising pandas, but zoos in developed countries are unable to do so. However, the government of the host country has not provided financial assistance to the zoo, and its motives are even more questionable. China's national strength has been continuously increasing. In the past decade or so, it has also launched the Belt and Road Initiative to build roads, bridges, highways, docks, and even hospitals and schools for participating or host countries to benefit these countries and people. This is admirable and has the support of the people in the host country. Rather than having the giant pandas return to the country lease party due to their inability to raise them, China can refer to the Belt and Road Initiative to assist the panda leasers to better solve this problem. If the lease amount is reduced, it can also reduce the cost of raising pandas for the lease party. China should review the terms of the lease in a timely manner and even provide appropriate assistance to the lessor. Let giant pandas live in more places in the world. Let more visitors watch giant pandas nearby. Let giant panda diplomacy develop sustainably. Let China wave to the international community through the hand of friendship of giant pandas. And strengthening the country's soft power, wouldn't these serve multiple purposes? Thank you everyone for watching. If you like this video, please remember to like and subscribe to our channel. See you next time. Duo sieda jia kai guan kan, ru guan jong yinige ying pian, jide bige like tong ding yue wodikai pin dao la, jia chi zai jian.